where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. Giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Al Shai B'Shem Kakwadash. Shalom to the whole elect out there. And that's the title, where the worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. We're going to give you the meaning of that because I was just watching a video. And this is a new doctrine that sprang up uh, by way of the IUIC, because I never heard them. If they've been teaching this, we would have, ran into a video. We would have heard about it from somebody. Somebody would have dropped me a line saying, "Oh, they're teaching that hell is a place that you burn forever." So this is the new. I guess this is a couple of weeks old because I first started hearing it maybe about a week ago, and I immediately did a counter video, and Bishop Nate did a video. What is it? Shout out Tuesdays, and he kind of went into it about 55 minutes in. Then he said he's going to go deeper into it in the Saturday class. But I mentioned that in my video that I did early this morning, dealing with the same, subject. Hell revisited again, in which you got to watch the whole video, especially at the end, maybe the last 20, 15, 20 minutes, because I go into the concept or the doctrine of hell goes back to the Babylonians, goes back to the Egyptians, go back to the even the Roman emperors, the Caesars. They taught about Rome. See, the Caesars of Rome, they had a religious order, just like the Greeks did. They had the what do you call them? The oracles of Delphi. When they would go to war, they would go. It was supposed to be two women floating around, and they would ask if they're gonna win the war, and the woman, two or three women would say you're gonna win the war, and the same thing happened in Rome, and this was you had birds that would. We did classes on it way back, 2012 or whatever, 2010, where if you do the research, where you had certain Roman high priests during the time of the pagan Roman Empire, because there was a religious side to them, but they were really following the spiritual demon Satan, where they would look up at a flock. I believe it was seagulls. They were white birds, so I guess they're seagulls. I hadn't gone through this in years. And the way the formation of the birds would fly, they would have the holy man read, okay, the way the birds are flying, you're going to win this battle. And ultimately, they won their battles because the Most High was with them, because the Most High used the Roman Empire to fulfill the prophecy of the Roman Empire. Nothing was going to take it down because the Most High set it up and gave it to the prophets in the past. Daniel was the first prophet to speak about the Roman Empire in Daniel 2 and then Daniel 7. So the Romans, like I said, they were a spiritual people too. They did things based upon consulting the spirits, which they thought they were righteous spirits. They were wicked spirits, just like they do today. The super rich, the elite, they get introduced to the left-hand side. When this happened to this guy, he had died years ago of cancer. I can't think of his name. He did the interview with Alex Jones. Damn, I can't even think of his name. But damn, his name was right on the tip of my tongue. He did the movie. He did the movie Trading Places. Can't think of the dudes. Aaron Russo just came back to me. The Wadi Yahweh Shemel Shah. Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo explained in that interview, and at one time that was all over YouTube. You can holler, good luck. May the Lord force be with you. if you can find the full interview with Alex Jones and Aaron Russo, and he goes into how he met one of the Rockefellers, and he told them, we're going to do this, we're going to give everybody the C-hip. And this is before 2001, because he mentioned what was going to happen in 2001. And then shortly after, many years after that, they're going to lead the world to taking the C-hip. See, when we go into the C-hip, we go into things that lead up to it. We'll go as far back as Adam Weishaupt. We'll bring it up to date to Daddy Bush, who said, I believe it was 91, he called for a new world order. And if you go to YouTube, you may find it. He said a new world order where all nations come together as one, which goes back to First Maccabees, the first chapter, where Antiochus Epiphanes wanted to bring a one world government. So that goes as far back as the time of Nimrod. So I said all this to say this, that the Roman Caesars, the reason why they reverenced the Roman Caesars, because when the Roman Caesar came around, the subjects, they looked at them in awe. They were like gods. They came as a god-like figure, a god-like personality. And what they basically they were saying in not too many words, that God is talking to us for you guys. That's why they inaugurated. Presidents are inaugurated. Well, that goes back to the Roman Caesars. Look it up. And when you're inaugurated, you are able to see the future. That the invisible world, they're able to tell you things. Like the president said, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and then it happens because they make it happen. They say it's going to happen, then they make it happen. Oh, this is going to happen if you don't do this. And then it happens because they tell the elite, say, we're going to make it happen. So being the emperor was almost like you got the Pope, the vicar of Christ. Well, they were like the vicar of their God, of the Romans, which actually goes back to the Greeks. But anyway, one of the things that they used to tell the people was, the powers are working with us. That's why I'm the Caesar or the emperor. And if you go against the peace of Rome, the system of Rome, which is the image, that you're going to die and you're going to go to hell. They taught that. That's why you got to watch the video I did early this morning. What did I call it? Hell Revisited Again. You got to go to like the last maybe 20 minutes, and I go into those periods when the Egyptians taught about hell, the afterlife, the Babylonians, during the time of Nimrod. So they all taught a certain form, the Greeks, the Romans, a certain form of hell. So the Christians got that from the Christians got it late. The Christian society, they got it from the Greeks, and the Romans and the Babylonians. That's why they celebrate Easter and Christmas and all that, which is all pagan, goes back to the Assyrians, go back to the Babylonians, go back to the Egyptians. So even the emperor of Rome would scare the people by saying, if you ain't right, if you don't do it, if you don't fight in this war, you die, you're gonna go to hell. They didn't say it in those same terms, right? So what these guys are teaching is a Christian doctrine. Watch this video. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I just watched this guy speaking. And when he started speaking, you notice he put that sign up there and he held it up. Now, I don't know if that's a coincidence, because this just happened. I heard about this, not even 2 weeks ago? We were arguing back and forth about the MOTB. Now they're talking about there's a place that you die in hell. That's why the scriptures say be circumspect. And the first time I heard it was from the brother from, I believe he's originally from Atlanta IUIC, good teacher, but he doesn't have the whole truth. He was down there in Tennessee to build that camp up, the IUIC. I believe it's in Tallahassee, if I'm not mistaken, Tallahassee. And the video, let me see if I got the video here. Give me a second. Okay. Give me a second here. Let me just do this. Okay, this is it right here. This is the video when I first heard it. So this was 5 months ago. I caught it. I caught this video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So you can go to IUIC Tallahassee, IUIC Hell and the Lake of Fire Explained. This was put up 5 months ago. So this doctrine is at least 5 months old, if not longer. So we jumped on it, and Bishop Nate got wind to it, so he did like a counter to it. Now this brother, I don't know, this video right here, this got to be I would think this is a new video to kind of confirm that, yes, we teach the hell thing. And he said that there's 3 forms of hell. And he reads a place where the worm dieth not. Now I'm going to go into that precept. It says in Mark 9, verse 44 and 46 and 48, it says, where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. 46, where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. Where their worm, 48, where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. So now what I did was I clicked on it. So you got the word. Let me let you listen to it. Skolakes, Greek word, skolakes, which means worm or worms. Skolakes of uncertain derivation, a grub, maggot, or earthworms. When a person dies, like if you see like a dead dog or dead cat, and they don't clean it up, the city doesn't clean it up, you'll see maggots coming out of the cat. So the same thing happens when they put you in the coffin. The maggots eat you, which they also call worms. When they make movies, horror movies about dead bodies, they'll show worms crawling out the person's eye and maggots coming out of their pockets. What is the job of the worms and the maggots and bacteria? It decomposes your body because your body's no longer living. This life force is no longer in the body. So you have an immune system. When you die, your immune system turns off. So what's the only living thing that is alive in your body? The maggots, the bacteria, the worms, and its job, it's according to nature. The Most High set up the worms and the maggots for a reason. To break down, if you leave a piece of food on the ground, it breaks down. Maggots come out of it, and then maggots turn into flies. So I'm gonna show you where the Lord was quoting out of the book of Isaiah. So it says with the place where the worm dieth not, it's talking about your body's gonna be dead. The only thing living in your body is in worms and the maggots. And it said, where the fire shall not be quenched. So the Christian community, they say the fire shall not be quenched. When you go to hell, you're gonna burn forever. That fire is talking about the nuclear fire. And I'm gonna show you that in the book of Isaiah, chapter 66. It says, a worm, specifically that kind which preys upon dead bodies. That's nature. Your body decomposes. There's been many cases where you have a person dies in the house, and a whole lot of mail gets built up, and nobody goes and checks on the person. Then maybe a year later, they open the door and there's a skeleton there. But what happened to the body? The worms, the maggots, and the bacteria ate it up, broke it down to a skeleton. So it even says here, right? It says it says in the Maccabees. I'm not going to go into that. It says by a figure borrowed from Isaiah 66, verse 24. Their punishment after death will never cease, symbolizing perhaps the loathsomeness of the penalty, which is Mark 9 and 44, 44, 46, and 48. So now I'm going to go to Isaiah 66 and 24, but this is what I'm going to do. This right here, right? And they shall go, and this is where the quote came from. When the Lord, let me do this. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Let me click on this. And let me go to the red letter. So now you see, when you see the red letter, that means Yahweh Shai was talking. Now I read the 44th verse, the 46th verse, and 48th verse, but you can read in between that. And if thy foot offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into the fire that shall never be quenched. That was talking about this nuclear fire. It wasn't talking about no hell underground with the devil in the pitchfork. It's talking about the destruction, because when will the people of Yahweh Shai's time that went off, when are they going to receive this destruction of fire that shall not be quenched? They're going to come back here. All those wicked scribes and Pharisees that came against the Lord, they're right here now. They're probably preachers. They could be anybody. I mean, they're Jake. That's why these preachers and these Christians buck up against us. Those are the people that was against Yahweh Shai. So all those people are here to receive that judgment, which is the fire. So that's what the Lord was talking about. And he went over everybody else's head. So now let's go to let's show you that this is talking about the destruction. I'm going to start from the 14th verse. Isaiah 66, 14. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of Yahweh shall be known toward his servants, which are the elect. because the only ones that's going to make it is the elect that's going to make it out of America. And then they're going to go down and they're going to go throughout the planet and they're going to gather the Israelites and teach them that they're the Israelites and put the rest of the nations in captivity under orders so they can learn the laws. It says, and the hand of Yahweh shall be known toward his servants and his, starting with the prophets, the apostles, the brothers that out there on the highways and the byways. Indignation toward his enemies. Number one on the list, go to Psalms 83. Number one on the list is Esau. So guess what? Esau is reserved to the day of destruction, damnation. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire and his chariots like a whirlwind. Now, every camp teaches, when they go to Isaiah 66, verse 15, they talk about that's when the ships come and the missiles and the ICBMs. So that's what this is talking about. That unquenchable fire is talking about the fire from those ICBM missiles. It's not talking about no hell underground. It said, for behold, Yahweh will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, the ships, and render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. And that fire is for the Israelites that are not right. They're going to die in this destruction, but guess what? They're going to come back through us. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead. Now the word there, plead, means to judge. He would judge with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. Now when you go to Ezekiel 39, you read that whole chapter. It speaks about how they're going to take flags and they're going to put a flag down with his dead bodies, because then they're going to have a crew come and bury the dead body. Then they're going to burn the weapons. And why are they doing that? Because a dead body that's not buried contaminates the land, contaminates the people around it. So you got to put a flag down, dead body here, and then somebody comes along and sees a flag. Okay, get those bodies, bury them. So that's what that means. Because there's going to be certain, now it's not going to happen in Babylon, because Babylon is going to be utterly destroyed. But in other places that got hit, that was affected by the missiles in any way, you're going to have dead bodies. But they're going to be above ground, so they got to be put in the ground. It says they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves. Remember, it says the earth is going to rock back and forth like a drunkard, right? Now you witness what happened to Turkey. The whole earth is going to quake. So people are going to be dying all around the world because it's going to be a major earthquake. It speaks about that in the book of Revelation. It says that they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine flesh. Now, this is talking about the churches. Now, these churches are built from the ground up. When you got a church built from the ground up, the ceilings are built in a way that look like groves. Because back then they used to go out into the woods and secretly, weep for Tammuz and worship, Baal and these different gods, and make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. So they were doing it secretly. They said, be behind one tree in the midst, eating swine flesh. And that's what Jake does in the church. And the abomination in the mouse, because they used to eat mice too, shall be consumed together, saith Yahweh. Now let me jump. You can read the 18 and 19 verse. I'm going to jump to the 20th verse. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations, because we're scattered literally throughout all nations. I don't know why ISUPK can't see that you got Israelites living all throughout Africa, mainly in West Africa. You got millions of Israelites living in Africa, thinking that they're Africans, all throughout the West Coast and also other parts of Africa too, but mainly in the West Coast. Oh, the Zulus are Israelites because the Zulus are the Bantu people. There was a major migration from Northwest Africa down into South Africa, a major migration of the Bantu people, and they call themselves Zulu. Now, the word Zulu means heaven, if you do the research. So Shaka Zulu was an Israelite. We made Africa great. Hell, we made America great. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations. That's when all Israel's going to be gathered back together. And they're going to come to the realization that they're the Israelites upon horses and in chariots and in litters and upon mules and upon swift beasts, which is modern day swift beasts. They're cars, planes, trains, automobiles. To my holy mountain. What is that talking about? The kingdom. The headquarters of the kingdom is going to be in what they call the Middle East, Jerusalem. Saith Yahweh, as the children of Yasha'Allah bring, or the sons of Yasha'Allah bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahweh. And I will, 21st verse, and I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord. The Levitical order is going to be set back up, but all the tribes are going to be priests. And why is that? Because we're going to teach the nation. So we're going to sort of be Levites to the whole nation, but the Levites have a special office. But we're going to be priests too. So we're going to be teaching the law as well. And why is that? Because the law is going to be inside of us. The new covenant is a law that's going to be written in our hearts. It says 22, but as the new heavens and the new earth, what's the new heaven and the new earth? The kingdom of heaven. The old heaven and the old earth is Esau's kingdom. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Which I will make, this is the kingdom, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed. Where are you going to get your children from? The ones that died on this side. They're going to come back. So ain't no Israelite going to go burn in hell. Ain't no Edomite going to burn in hell. Esau is going to go into captivity, and the other nations are going to go into captivity. They're going to be under us. And your name remain, meaning the kingdom is not going to be destroyed. Nobody's going to overtake the kingdom. 23rd verse. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, because the Apostle Paul said, let no one judge you on meats and drinks in respect of a high holy day, which is a shadow of things to come, meaning in the kingdom, we're going to keep the high holy days, the Sabbaths, the Passover, at the new high holy day. You know, when you read Jeremiah about there shall be no more said concerning, matter of fact, let me go to that so I can read it correctly. It's either Jeremiah 14 and 16 or 16 and 14. Jeremiah 14. That's a good one too, but it's 16. (16 and 14). The Most High will restore them. This is Jeremiah 23, verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. In other words, this deliverance is going to be overshadow Egypt, but we're still going to celebrate the Passover because the Lord says the Passover is to be kept from generation to generation. So we're going to keep the Sabbath, the new moons, the all the high holy days. It says, therefore, 14th verse, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of the north, because that's the major deliverance that we came at it. And this deliverance that we're going to come out is going to be even bigger than Egypt. So it's going to overshadow the deliverance of Egypt. So now let's come back over here. Let's read the 23rd verse again. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord, saith Yahweh. Now, in the ancient world, we used to gather. You know, you would gather with other Israelites and your family, and you would worship together. You know, the 3 days, three times in a year, Deuteronomy 16 and 16. Like during the time of Pentecost, during the time of the Passover, during the time of the Feast of Weeks, which is the Pentecost, and the tabernacle, you made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. We're talking about 2,000 years ago. And then you got with friends, people that you knew, because you had Israelites living outside of, that's what the whole thing about the strange is all about. So we're going to do that again in the kingdom. On all these various major high holy days, we're going to all come together. It says the Isaiah 66 verse 24, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. Now, it doesn't mean, oh, let's go look at them dead bodies. In other words, you're going to know that there's going to be a lot of death. So if you read Ezekiel 39, it tells you put a flag there for the dead bodies, so you can bury the dead body. So it says, transgress against me, for their worm shall not die. So what does that mean? The only thing that's going to be living in that body is the worms, is the maggots. That's what that means. That's what the Lord meant when he said that. He wasn't talking about a place called hell that you burn forever. The scriptures, do you know how many? It's over 200 times. I was going through it earlier. It's over 200 times the word mercy is written in the scriptures. And it tells you the Most High being merciful. So how in the hell can you be on this earth for 20 years? You committed one sin, then you're going to burn a billion years from now, you still burning. That don't make no fucking sense, man. It said the wicked shall be turned into hell. Let me get that. Because if we go into hell according to the IUIC, well, the Israelites, it ain't right, they going to hell. Well, it says the wicked's going to go to hell too. So where are we going to get the slave from? I believe that's Psalm 17, if I'm not mistaken. Let's find out. Is it Psalm 17? Let me do it this way. The wicked. And I put hell, the wicked and hell. It should come up. Psalms 9 and 17. I knew 17 was in there. It says the wicked, which we know who the wicked are, shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forgot the Most High. So you might say, well, that's just talking about the grave. Well, isn't death and hell going to be cast into the lake of fire? So them graves are going to be cast in the lake of fire too. So with that logic, we ain't gonna have no slaves because the nations don't keep the laws. Esau don't keep the laws, and our people, the Israelites that are wicked, don't keep the laws. So they're all going to be. So it's just going to be 144,000 men looking at each other, wondering what we're going to do next. You know what I'm going to say next. Use your head for something other than the hat rack. So this is what the Lord meant by that. By by the fire shall not be quenched. Because you read up above it. That's why I started at the 15th verse. It's talking about the destruction. And they, 24th verse, and they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die. That's when the Lord said that, he was quoting Isaiah 66. For the worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Let me look up the word abhorring. It says abhor, not Edomite, right? So let's see if this is the same word. And the word abhor, they'll say, well, the scriptures say in Deuteronomy, what is it, 23:7, I think. Abhor not Edomite. So you're not supposed to hate. The word abhor does not equal the word hate. The word abhor means if your woman's on a period, you abhor her for a 7-day period. Abhorrence, aversion. Let me see if this is in. Okay, it's not. Okay, it says Daniel 12:2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's not talking about hell. That's talking about you're going to loathe. We're all going to loathe ourselves because we all committed sins in the past. Now let's come back over here. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men, women, and children that have transgressed against me, because a lot of our people are going to die. For their worm shall not die, meaning it's not talking about hell. Oh, that's the place where the worm dieth not. Well, wait a minute. If you're in hell, ain't that a spiritual place? So how can worms eat on a spiritual body that's in fire, that's in a spiritual fire? It's obviously talking about a dead human body that's being that's rigor mortis sets in, right? Because you have no life force, and then your body decomposes. And what decomposes the body? Worms, maggots, and bacteria. Neither shall their fire be quenched. That's talking about the fire of the missiles. Because that smoke is going to go up for maybe years. When the World Trade Centers went down, it was months. I remember because we went down there. We went down there about a week or two after that, man. And the fire was still billowing from the wreckage. And I believe you got to do the, look it up, go to Google, look it up. But if I'm not mistaken, that fire kept going up for months, man. Because we used to go down there and buy stuff to eat in that area. We used to go to this Greek restaurant. And we said, all right, we ain't going down there for a while. And I think maybe a year later, we went down there. So when it says, neither shall their fire be quenched, it's talking about the missiles, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. When somebody's dead, they decomposing, you stay away from that. Don't touch that. That's why you give it to an undertaker. And then you're not supposed to even deal with an undertaker. When a family member dies, the family dealt with the burial. The priest didn't bury nobody. The priest didn't say prayers over the dead because they would be unclean. They're not. The priests are not supposed to go to their father. Well, it's in two places. It's in Ezekiel and it's also in the law. It speaks about they can't go. In one place, it speaks about them not going before even their parents. But I believe it's the law, you can go before your parents, and you can go before your sister if she's not married. And I believe you can go before your brother, but you're unclean for 7 days. So anyway, I'm gonna say shalom.